Hello, hello! Welcome to the Moana Adams podcast. I'm your host, Moana, a 15-year-old with a ton to say about mental health, wellness, self-love, and a whole lot more. So let's get into it. Hello, hello! Welcome back to another episode, and today I'm joined with Siena. She's going to be joining us today to talk about unrealistic expectations, and yeah, we're gonna talk about it and it's gonna be fun. So I'm gonna let Sienna go ahead and introduce herself and say hi.
Hi guys, I am a huge fan of Moana's podcast. It's the best part of my Monday. That's I hate Mondays. Mondays are bleh. But I'm oh, another episode comes out today. So that always makes me wake up on Monday. Anyway, I'm Sienna. I'm 14. I've known Moana for ever through dance and mutual friends. And yeah, I also love to do content creation and social media and just being real online. So yeah.
Yeah, so we've known each other forever, and that's literally the reason that I post on Mondays is because everybody thinks Mondays suck, and so it's that thing that I'm gonna do it on Mondays. And yeah, this is gonna be fun. And yes, she has content creation. That's the main reason she's here. She's a teen content creator like I am. She has YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and all the things. So I will put those in the episode notes below so that when you're done listening to this, you can go check all her stuff out. But let's go ahead and do currently loving. My currently loving is Lana. I love Lana Del Rey so much. I've been listening to her a lot recently, and I just love her so much.
Okay, my currently loving is really dumb, but it's frozen grapes.
I still haven't tried these. These have been a thing for years now. I remember when I was younger and I was on mom blogs or whatever, I would see them all the time and I never tried them. So I need to. But I'm also not that big of a fan of grapes.
Here's the thing. So I like grapes, but I only like grapes when they're really, really hard.
Me too. I hate mushy grapes.
Yeah, because I don't know. I like fruit when it's fresh and crunchy and you bite into it.
Yeah, I'm the same way with watermelon. I cannot stand mushy watermelon.
It's gross.
Disgusting.
But yeah, I wash the grapes and freeze them, and then I put lemon juice on them, and then I'm just constantly snacking on them all day.
Good. I need to do that. Luna is just waking up. She is so lazy in the morning, my dog. Luna. Hi. And we have a new kitten in the house, so that's kind of thrown her off a little bit. She it took her a while to decide whether or not she wanted to eat him. But she's getting used to it. Okay, let's do gratitude, gratefuls. I am grateful that I'm going to one of my best friends. I'm going to hang out with her tonight because I haven't seen her in over a month. And I've been really missing her lately, so I'm excited to go see her tonight and spend time with her before I go on my trip. And we're gonna hang out and talk, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. And she loves to film TikToks and things, and I'm not on TikTok. I will be probably by June, but I'm still getting used to the camera. Sometimes it's hard for me to record those kinds of things, but I'm getting there, and I'm getting more comfortable being in front of the camera when it's not B-roll type stuff. So I'm excited to go hang out with her tonight.
Yeah. Okay, my grateful is I'm always grateful for my bed because personally I think I have the most comfortable bed on the planet, and I probably spend way too much time in my bed. And then this weekend I have a lot of plans to go see friends, and I'm going to see a bunch of my friends' shows, so I'm really grateful that I get to do that and I get to see them perform.
That's fun. I see my bed and I have a love-hate relationship. I like the hammock in my room better, I think. And I have two beds, right? Because my dad's house, I like my bed there better, but my mom's house, I don't want to get out of bed because it's more of a squishy one, you know what I mean? It sinks deeper. It's that it's taking you away or whatever. Okay. let's do this because this is what everybody wants to hear about, and I'm excited to talk about this. I wanted to talk about this for a while, so I'm really glad that like we were both like excited to talk about this because I feel like it's like a big thing for like our generation.
Yeah, for sure.
So we are talking about unrealistic expectations. And when I say that, I mean like not just expectations of other people, but also from ourselves.
Hmm.
So the main places that I feel like these like come from are like pressure from the media, movies and TV. Um, like as a kid in like late elementary school, early middle school, I feel like we like start building these expectations of like what we're supposed to be like as a teenager.
Yeah. Yeah, also just like when we see like things that our friends are doing,
Yeah.
like they're constantly like it seems like they're always doing something fun. They're always at a party or hanging out with people or with their boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yeah, I definitely get that a lot. Like comparison between each other and like then there's also like the expectation of other people, like family, friends, teachers, whoever are close to us, they have expectations for us, and then we have expectations of ourselves. And especially when those don't always align, it can definitely cause conflict.
Yeah.
I feel like movies and TV is a big one for me. Like, I remember when I was younger, and I feel like we all kind of did this. Like, when you grow up watching Disney Channel or Nick or whatever, I was a Disney kid.
I was a Disney kid as well.
So that's what I'm familiar with. But, like, when you're that young, yes, you understand the difference between real and fake, but when it's a show like that that has like that real bits to it of like going to school and those kinds of things, it like builds these expectations that are unrealistic.
Yeah. I feel I feel like the best example is just like High School Musical. Like that's just like the number one that I think. No, it's like
Yeah.
well, teenagers at actual school with actual drama, but like in my brain as like a theater kid, sometimes I just like wish people in public school would just like burst into song and dance like a TV show, and there would be like a whole flash mob, but like that's never gonna happen. So
Right. And then sometimes for some people that might happen and we see it on social media and then we feel like crap.
I'm like, oh wait, people actually can do that.
Yeah, like I've seen videos of like people doing this and obviously it's like planned, it's not actual like out of the blue, but I'm like, why didn't my school ever do that? And now I'm homeschooled, so it's definitely not gonna happen.
Everest comes up with a little song and dance.
Right? Like, oh my gosh. And she's very into dinosaurs right now, so she'll go around the house like
Oh,
being a pterodon or whatever. She can name all the dinosaurs too. I'm like,
that's impressive.
it's very impressive. So I feel like most people, when we think of like unrealistic expectations, a lot of people think of like body image and like personality, like what we should look like and how we should speak and how other people should see us. And like a lot of that comes from media and movies and TV. My mom and I were talking about the other day how like when she was younger, it was don't compare yourself to models on magazine covers.
Hmm.
But for us, it's don't compare yourselves to Instagram models and people on social media.
Yeah.
And I feel like it gets even more difficult because we don't just compare ourselves to people on social media who are famous and verified or whatever. We also compare ourselves to each other on social media because everybody's posting, like you said, these exciting things that they're doing. And then when you're not doing them, it comes into like FOMO and like, why didn't you get that?
Yeah, it's like when you're like at home on like a Friday night and everyone's out doing like all these fun things and I'm like, "Oh crap, maybe I'm supposed to be doing that too." But like I'm not, so
Yeah, and it's like not everybody does that every single weekend, but when you see it, sometimes it looks like that and it's hard to like be okay with it and like understand even though we know that that's not how it really is, sometimes we forget that.
yeah.
And then there's also like school. And for me this isn't as big of a deal anymore. So I don't know if this is like a thing for you, but like grades and teachers and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, school is like my strong suit. I actually, the only reason I enjoy school is because I'm really good at it. That's just like my thing that like I was naturally good at. So, but like I feel like at school there's also like expectations of like what school should be like. Like there should be like drama, but like it should be like fun, like Friday night football games, school dances, like people getting asked to go to dances, like these big like promposals, and I'm like, I have like never seen that in real.
Yeah. And we see it all the time online. Like, what kind of school do y'all go to?
I know. I'm like, can I attend there?
And then, like, when you think about it, like, there's no way that that happens often. It's just like that time it happened to be caught on video or whatever. And I feel like a lot of people, especially, I know I've seen this a lot. It's like a thing on like Instagram and Pinterest that I've seen. And it's like the oldest daughter always is like the one who needs academic validation. And I've seen so much of that recently. And I know when I was younger, before I started homeschooling, like early middle school, that's exactly how I was. Because I'm the oldest daughter. And like academic validation was like all I wanted. And it's all like it was my whole life. Like I checked my grades every single day. And if they weren't like 95 or above, I would like, if I got like a B on a test, I would like have a panic attack over it.
Oh, I still do that.
And then there's like you said, football games and dances and all those kinds of things that we see in movies and TVs. And like, it's just not real. But because we build those expectations at such a young age, like, it's disappointing when they don't happen.
Yeah. And like I also feel like it like becomes a little bit more shocking when like it feels sometimes like I feel like it's just me, and I know that's not true because like my friends that go to like different high schools and stuff, like I see them posting about like dance stuff and like Friday night football games and like relationship stuff and like school cool things that happened at their school, and I'm just like, oh, so like I feel like so we're like, okay, so it doesn't happen in real life, but like it does happen in real life for some people. It's just very
Right.
thing.
And then that comes into like the comparison and everything. And it's just a lot. And then there's also, I feel like there's like, it just goes on and on. Like, there's so many different things. And you talk a lot about like living the teenage dream and like that kind of thing. And again, that goes into like especially like the movies and TV shows for me. It's like when I watch, like early or late 90s, early 2000s movies, you see it a lot. And then like you see the high school parties and the vacations. And then there's stereotypes online of like, especially right now, everybody's talking about like the that girl trend and like having an aesthetic lifestyle all the time. And that's just not realistic.
It's not. Especially when you're a teenager, I feel like it can be more realistic if you're like a full-time famous content creator that lives in like a fancy white apartment, but like you're
Yeah.
a teenager and you're still in like actual school and you have like actual things going on in your life, not saying that they don't, but when you're a teenager in high school, it's completely different, and you don't have time to make sure your life is aesthetic. You're just going through every day just trying to make sure you get everything that you need to done.
Yeah. And like we compare ourselves to content creators who are like way older than us and
Yeah.
have freedom and they are they don't live with their parents. They have their own house, their own job, their own money. They have control over everything that goes on in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't. So it's not fair to compare ourselves to people like that who are much older and have these other opportunities.
Yeah. Especially,
Not to mention that there's no way that they have that aesthetic of a life all the time.
mm-hmm. I totally get that. Especially like I know like you're getting your license this year, but like I'm only 14. So I can't drive yet. And
Yeah.
like I feel like once I can drive, I feel like my life will just become aesthetic because I can like just drive myself wherever I want, whenever I want, but I feel like that's not going to be true even though I really want it to.
Right. It's like that expectation that you've built like over your whole lifetime of watching TV and seeing other people's lives, and you've built this expectation, but you know like that's not the reality for most people,
Mhm.
which is crazy. I wish that I actually am not getting my license this year because while we were gone, I couldn't get my permit. And you have to have your permit for a year before you can get it. So I won't get it till next February. And so I'm like waiting and I'm terrified of driving too. Like it is so scary. But next thing is like relationships. And I was doing some research for this episode and reading about, unrealistic expectations for teens and that kind of thing. And it's the friendships and the family and the dating and like emotional interactions.
Mhm.
Like with friendships, like not everybody has a ton of friends, and like that's okay. Like you don't have to have a ton of friends like to be happy and to have good relationships. You just need strong relationships and strong bonds.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I feel like I'm at a point in my life right now that I have like a really great group of friends, and I have like different groups of friends, like church friends, dance friends, like old friends, new friends, and I'm just really grateful for the friends that I have right now because they're just really amazing, heartfelt people. So I'm definitely grateful for them. But like in the past, I feel like friendships can almost be more complicated than like dating relationships sometimes.
Yeah, especially because like usually you've known your friends much longer. And then like the dating is kind of weird for me because like I don't really date at all.
Me neither.
And like there's like this expectation of other people for me to do it, and it's like it's not that I don't want to, it's just I don't, it's not the first thing on my mind.
Yeah, like I've kind of had like a mindset my whole life, and I probably will have this throughout high school that I've never really like I'm not looking for a relationship or like someone to go out with, or like if I see someone, I'm like I'm kind of like if it's meant to be then it'll happen.
Yeah, I had a conversation with one of my mom's friends. She had asked me a question like, are there any guys or whatever, right? And I was like, no, not really. Like, it's a lot to like do that. And she's like, what do you mean it's a lot? And I was like, well, I mean, it's a whole other person that you're adding to your life. And I went on about all this stuff. And she's like, at your age, it's supposed to be fun. Like, it's not supposed to be stressful. It's supposed to be like, it's like teenage love. It's just supposed to be for fun and not serious. And I'm like, that's not how it is anymore. Like, our parents growing up, that's how it was. But for us, we have these expectations and expectations of other people, and it makes it seem like it's this serious thing and makes it stressful. And it's like it's almost like how adult relationships are when that's not how it is or how it should be.
Mhm. Like
And then, like, it's just frustrating that we have these expectations.
mhm. I feel like I don't know. I go in between like being like strong teenage woman does everything by herself, but at the same time I want to be like little tiny girlfriend.
Like, book boyfriend type,
Yeah.
you know, we were talking, I got Sienna to get the last Good Girls Guide to Murder book
I'm almost
because I just finished the series, and we were talking about how much we love Ravi, and he's my favorite book boyfriend.
yeah.
Okay, so the last thing before we get into actually combating these expectations and fixing them up is emotional interactions. I was reading about this the other day. In TV and movies, like Disney Channel, whatever. When we're young, we see the kids do something wrong and the parents get mad at them and they fight and they slam the door and then the parents come up and they talk to them and they have this heartfelt moment and conversation. It's very Disney Channel.
Yeah.
And that's not how every single parent relationship works. And that's not how emotional interactions work on a day to day basis for most people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, there's this expectation of, like, how your parents should handle things and how you should handle things and, where blame should be and the way you should communicate. And I feel like there's no right answer to, like, how a relationship should work. Like, it's obviously, like, there's pros and cons and good things and bad things that should happen in a relationship, but there's not necessarily one set way that any relationship should be.
Mm-hmm. I feel like people say this, but people also ignore it. Like, I'm one of those people that gives advice and I never take my own advice. And, but like, all relationships are different. You're never gonna have a same kind of friendship or same kind of relationship or same kind of like parent relationship as your other friends or the people that surround you or the people that you see online.
Right. Okay. Let's get into how to fix this up and figure out ways to combat these. Or my favorite thing is to just embrace the expectations you have and focus on romanticizing the moments you do get and enjoying those until you can't anymore, right? Like, appreciating the moments you have that are aesthetic and live up to your expectations and really appreciate those because that's not how it always is.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, oh my god, this is something that I constantly think about, but just like, if there are things you can do to get closer to achieving the expectations that you want, like, don't just sit around scrolling through social media, like, wishing you were out doing it. Like, at least try to get there. I mean, it's not always gonna happen, but like, if you want to go out on Friday night, like, try to make plans, reach out to as many people as you can, or maybe just like go out and get dinner with a family member. Just like do something to get off your phone and get out of the house.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, if you're gonna sit there and complain and all that jazz, and you're gonna be upset for yourself and have a pity party, like, it's not always easy, but if you're gonna sit there and complain and scroll and compare yourself, do something about it. Like, get up and put your phone down, and it doesn't even have to be with someone else. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you want an aesthetic moment and you need that kind of thing, like, there's a thousand different things you can do. And I swear music is like one of my favorite ways to like make things more enjoyable and like having like music that fits the vibe. I have so many playlists, it's not even funny. And like take pictures and videos, and if something looks good, take a picture of it. Some My friends always make fun of me because like we have this joke, like, because I'm a content creator and I'm always taking videos and photos and that kind of thing. And I'm like, well, it's a good spot. Like, I gotta take it. And I post it and I post the highlight reels because that's how social media is. Social media is. It's a highlight reel. It's just the good parts for most people. And most people don't post the negative sides of their lives on social media. And so, yeah, I'm gonna take the aesthetic photo. And I always like to remind people, like, as creators and as like viewers and followers, like that relationship, like nobody owes each other anything. A creator doesn't owe their followers any information about their personal lives, and followers don't owe them likes and engagement.
Yeah. I feel like it just is. It's just there.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the best way to describe it.
like enjoy the now and understand that it's not always going to be like the aesthetic perfect thing and it's not going to always live up to your expectations, but when it does, appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. And just continue to, like, if plans don't work out or friends are busy or friends away or whatever, just like don't let that ruin your mood. Like, keep trying. Just because it didn't happen today doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And as you get older and as you get more freedom and responsibility, and you can drive and you move out of your house, and things like that you will be able to achieve easier. But right now you need to focus on like what's actually happening, because I have a huge habit of, I reminisce in the past and I reminisce in the future, and I don't realize what's going on at the current moment, which is a habit I've been trying to break for a really long time. And I feel like everyone's like, oh, this is like your teenage years. This is supposed to be like the best part of your life. I'm like, this is the best? Uh,
I definitely get that. I have always been like I've always been very anxious, and so like definitely like thinking back to like past things and like feeling anxious about, oh, how did that person think about me? I swear, especially like before the last year, um, I would think back all the way to like early elementary school, and I would be like thinking about social interactions I had then, and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I can't do anything to change it. It happened. It still hasn't affected me once to this day. That event still has not affected me again since then. So I need to stop worrying about that and focus on what's happening now. And I feel like it's a hard balance, especially when you're very goal oriented, to focus on the now, but also plan for the future.
mhm. I mean, I feel like this might only make sense in my brain, and when I say it, it sounds weird. But like the now is eventually going to become the past, and the
Yeah, that makes
gonna
sense.
become the now. So while we're looking back on the past regretting things, in the future we're gonna look back on the now and regret things if you don't just like live in the present. Like there's so many times where I was like too scared or too worried about something else, and I was like, I should have just like gone and done that, or like taken the freaking picture, or just like moved on. Like,
Right.
so pointless.
Yeah. And I feel like it's important to just like recognize and evaluate the expectations you have. Like thinking right now, what are your current expectations for the next year of your life? I'm about to turn 16. And I remember when I was younger, like late elementary school, I had all these expectations for when you turn 16. And those are definitely not my reality because you can't plan for the future. So just pay attention to like how you feel and the expectations that you do have, because sometimes you don't realize them and we don't know that they're there until we're disappointed. I always think of MJ from Spider-Man, the newer Spider-Man, when she's what does she say? She says like, if you expect disappointment, you can never be disappointed.
Hmm.
And on one end that's like really sad, but then on another end that's like kind of true.
Hmm. I'm that type of person, and like I feel like you either agree with it or you don't. And I feel like at my school I get a lot of hate for saying this all the time, but like prepare for the worst, and like if you get the best, then like great.
Yeah, I feel like you have to find a balance. Like if you're always preparing for the worst, then you're always going to be in a negative mindset. And so there's this cross between like manifesting what you want and putting that into the universe versus, you know, not disappointing yourself and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And then the last thing that I feel like is the best way to, set your expectations to where they're realistic enough to where you won't be overly disappointed in things and you won't be feel manipulated by other people's expectations is to have the cat strap for like 10 things I hate about you energy and put your energy into your own expectations.
Hmm.
If you haven't seen 10 Things I Hate About You, you need to go watch it. It's a great movie. I love it. It's one of my favorites. And Kat Stratford is like the main character, and she talks about multiple times how she doesn't want to live up to everyone else's expectations, just her own.
Hmm.
And like you can do that by focusing on self-love. And I always come back to this, and um just like by focusing on falling in love with yourself, you're living up to your own expectations, and you have expectations for yourself and you're putting energy into those without being upset when you fail and you fall short, because when you truly are in love with yourself, when you make mistakes, you understand that it's okay and that it's human, and you forgive yourself.
Yeah, and I feel like with self love, like, I'm still that person that's like, like, I see like other people, I'm like, oh, great for you. That's not really me. But like, I feel like I've been trying to get there for so long. It's been getting better. And like, I feel like if you just put like the energy that you want to see like into yourself, if that makes any sense at all whatsoever.
Yeah, like the put in what you want out.
Yeah, like you're gonna get nowhere, like Moana said, throwing yourself a pity party. Like you gotta at least go out and try. And it may happen, it may not, but you're never gonna know until you actually do something about it.
Yeah, and like trying looks different for everyone else, and like everybody's at a different point in their self-love journey, and it takes time and effort and hard work consistently. And so trying looks different for everyone. For some people, trying might look like getting out of bed and
Mm,
going out and doing stuff, but for other people, it might just be drinking some water or
yeah.
brushing your teeth in the morning and taking a shower and doing the small things. And it's all up to you, and it really depends on your personal situation, but just putting that energy towards yourself.
Yeah. And I feel like when you're trying to become the best version of yourself or the version of yourself that you want to be, I feel like you should also take time to look back on how much you've grown, because you can get lost in how much you haven't done yet. But like, I feel like I usually try to take time, like at least like once a week, like whenever I'm like laying in bed at night, or when I'm like editing or just like listening to music or in the shower, I try to think about like where I came from, and I'm like, wow, that's insane.
Right. Like allowing yourself to appreciate progress is so important, because like I was thinking of the TikTok and like Instagram sound that was big for a while in like the wellness niche. It's like he says something like, you might not be where you want to be yet, but you're also not where you used to be.
Yeah.
And it's like he's right. Like you have grown a lot, and I definitely get stuck in that. Like I am very like progress motivated,
Yeah.
and so I want to see constant results. And so when you don't, you can get lost in that. And I think it's okay to have high expectations. Of You should definitely have high expectations for other people and the way they treat you, and you should have high expectations for yourself because you deserve big things. But don't let your expectations control you
Mm,
and your emotions.
for sure.
I definitely learned this a lot when we were traveling, because the first couple of months I was like researching the places we went before, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I wanted to eat this while we were there. And we didn't have time for that. Like we did not have time to go to every single restaurant that everybody wanted to go while we were there.
Yeah.
And so I just stopped, and I let my parents take care of it. I let Mom plan what she wanted to plan, and we did what we got to do, and it was so much better because I wasn't expecting anything. Like I knew where we were going, and I had expectations of what it would be like, but I wasn't disappointed because I didn't miss out on anything.
Hmm. I feel like,
Okay, I think that's all I have. What do you have left?
yeah, I mean, I feel like as long as you just continue to try to put effort into yourself and your well-being and your physical health and your mental health, and you have to give it time. Like you're not gonna it's like when people, like, this is my analogy, when people work out, you're not gonna see results the next day. I mean, I feel like it's the same thing with anything like school, expectations, mental health. like a sport or extracurricular that you do, you're not going to see results right away, but that doesn't give you a reason to stop trying because you're going to get there eventually. It just may not be right now.
Exactly. Like you have that expectation of you're going to do it for one day and wake up in the morning and be a totally different person, but that's not reality.
Yeah. Like,
And if you let it control you, then that's when you quit. But if you don't, then that's how you get far
mm-hmm,
and stay consistent.
totally.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on and talking with me today. This is fun.
I know this was
And I am excited to have more guests on because you'll probably be the second or third episode with a guest, I think. And I'm excited to bring people on and let them share their opinions and stuff. So thank you again. Please look in the episode notes. All of Siena's information is there, and you can find her. Subscribe to her on YouTube, follow her on Instagram and TikTok, and all the things. And yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, and I just want to say if you're looking for that motivation, that energy to try, Moana's podcast is a great place to start. I know it helps me, and I think it's great that it's on Monday because that's like the first day of the week. So I like whatever I like usually take like 3 mile walks a day just to like get outside, and that's always when I listen to most podcasts. So that's definitely a great place to start if you're looking for one. So I encourage you to come back and to follow her as well because she's really great and really talented. So
Thanks. I will get like positive feedback from people that I know, and then when I get positive feedback from people I don't know, it's kind of scary. I had someone message me on Instagram yesterday that I didn't know from like Africa, and he was like, "I listen to your podcast and blah blah blah." And usually when you get something like that, it's usually spam. But this guy really knew what he was talking about. He knew details from the episode
that's
that you can't just get from like scouring it. And I was like, "Hi, like thanks," and it was
cool.
really crazy.
Yeah, you feel like you're on top of the world.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me, and maybe you'll join us for another episode in the future.
Totally. I would love
And like I said, make sure that you follow Sienna on all the things in the episode notes. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to give this podcast a rate and review, as well as follow me on all my socials linked in the show notes. Don't forget to drink some water, and I'll talk to you later.